Hey guys, welcome to episode number 26 of Ask Jungle Scout. We have some awesome questions coming up today. Remember, as always, if you'd like your question to be answered on the show, make sure you drop it in the comment section below this video for a chance to have it answered in a later episode. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do so. We've got some awesome content coming out all the time. All right, let's go to the first question. VidWatcher asks, I was just beat to market by a Chinese seller with the same product about a week or two before my launch. They will only have a short head start on sales and reviews and have much worse branding, photos, copy than my listing will. Should I be worried? Will having a duplicate product on the market hurt my perceived value to customers? Should I use a thumbnail that makes it less obvious it's the same product? They don't run PPC on their existing product in the same niche and have below average sales for what it's worth. So all things considered, this isn't the worst situation you could be in. As you mentioned, their photos and their listing and all that sort of thing are a lot worse. So it sounds like it possibly is a Chinese seller. If that's the case, a lot of the time they're not very good with those kind of listing optimization things. You'll see, grammar errors and spelling errors and that sort of thing. So their listing isn't going to be well marketed. So in that sense, I wouldn't be too worried. Again, they're probably not as well educated in terms of how to launch a product. They're most likely just going to put their listing up and sort of set and forget it. They're probably not going to be, pushing as hard with PPC or doing promotional giveaways or doing all the things that we know about in order to get your product launched. So even though they've got a listing up, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get sales. Okay, so in a lot of ways, I probably wouldn't be too worried. The final thing I'd consider is how similar is your product to theirs? If it's exactly the same, I'd look at, doing something a little bit different with yours, whether that's just the packaging at the very basic level, or bundling another small item in, or making a small improvement upon your product. Regardless of whether another competitor comes into the market or not, that's a good thing to do to sort of future-proof against other people that come in and try to sell against you in the future. So I'd keep that in mind. Arthur asks, have you or anyone else at Jungle Scout ever decided on a product, contacted suppliers, gotten samples, and are just about to make payment and arrange shipping, only to double check the JS extension one last time to find that the number of sellers and reviews has increased within the time that it took to arrange all that? If so, would you still go ahead with that product or find something else that won't take quite as long? So this is a very similar question to the previous one. Now, in most cases, I would say I wouldn't be too worried about new sellers coming into the market because again, they're just starting from scratch as well. So when I launch a product, my mentality is that I want to go all in. I want to go very aggressive and move very quickly. So what I like to share here is to always have that mentality. Whether someone enters the market just as you're starting to enter the market or whether they enter down the track, I think you're better off always preparing for that. At some stage you're going to have new competitors. So you always want to be hustling. Like it takes a little while to find a product and to, get it made and so forth. But I feel like once you've decided and you've got that product, you really need to hustle. Get it to market as soon as you can. Start getting sales as quickly as you can. Start building your listing because inevitably, whether it's today, yesterday, 2 weeks, or 2 months from now, somebody else is going to enter that market as well. So I feel like you should always be prepared for that to happen. That way you're not blindsided or you're sort of paralyzed when you suddenly see someone enter the market and you go, oh, what do I do? I think it's a good idea to always be thinking ahead and kind of going, even if you've entered the market and you're starting to dominate, I'd always be going, what else could I be doing to my listing? Maybe I'll just, start to take some new images that are from a different angle and, a lot different to the ones I've got. The ones I've got now are performing really well, but if someone else enters the market, I want something up my sleeve. So my best advice here is take it slow in product research, verify the numbers, be very certain about the product and the niche, and then once you've decided, go all in. Block out everything else and move very quickly. Don't worry about who else is coming in, just focus on the steps in front of you, which is how am I going to launch it? Follow the plan and don't get distracted or don't let little doubts creep in. When I say be very sure and moving into a market, It's not to say that there won't ever be little doubts. There always are going to be little doubts. I don't think it gets any easier, even if you've launched a number of products before. the next time you do it, there's always that little bit of a fear of like, what if this doesn't work out? But I think a lot of those fears come from our emotions rather than the actual data. When you're having those doubts, go back to the data. Look at the numbers and the research that you've done, because normally if you look at that, a lot of the time you've already verified that it's got the sales. You can see that the competition isn't too bad. You know, you're looking at the hard numbers and the data, and that normally tells you that it's a good niche. It's all those other, you know, what ifs and little doubts that enter your mind that are really based on nothing. That's just kind of your emotional side kicking in. So I know that's a little broad, but I can't say for sure whether you should continue with this product or move on to another one. I would just say revisit your research. If all the reasons why you decided to move on this product are still valid, then I would continue ahead as planned. Nathan asks, when do I search for or hire a freight forwarder on Freightos? After or before I purchase my goods? So for those of you that don't know, Freightos is a website where you can go to and compare lots of freight forwarder quotes. You can go there first before you purchase anything, just to get some quotes on the shipping so you have an idea of how much it costs. Then once you've purchased the actual product, you can go back to Freightos to actually book in a freight forwarder. Joe M asks, with private label, do the Chinese manufacturers send you images to use on your listing? It's just if they are sending straight to the fulfillment center through a freight forwarder and you don't see the product, how do you obtain the images? So I wouldn't ever recommend using the images the Chinese manufacturers send you. They're normally going to be pretty bad and pretty generic. It doesn't take that much in order to get your own images done, and they're going to be way, way better. Also, I wouldn't send a shipment into Amazon without ever having cited the product. So the way I would go about it is when you're choosing your suppliers, I would get samples from 2 or 3 different suppliers. And then when you've got those samples, you can decide on which supplier you like. So you've actually cited the product that supplier is selling. Then you make a large order with that supplier, and it's still fine to send your shipment direct from the supplier to Amazon. That's still totally fine. However, I would get them to then send you another sample, but this time it's a sample that's got your logo or branding and your packaging and so forth. So that you've then got that sample in order to take photos yourself, or you can pay a local photographer or a product photographer to do it for you. Shannon asks, once you get brand registry and you move your unique identifier over to a model number, will the same FNSKU continue to work once the model number is the unique identifier? For example, I designed boxes with the FNSKU given to me by Amazon from the UPC supplier. Will I need to change the barcode on my boxes? No, so your FNSKU barcode should stay exactly the same. That normally doesn't change, but it is very easy to check. Once you've changed your unique identifier over to a model number, just go to Manage Inventory, and then next to your listing, click on the drop-down menu and click Print Label. That will print out a little PDF with your FNSKU barcode on there. So that way you can double check what your current FNSKU is, but I don't believe it should change at all. Hattie asks, as you might know, Amazon will start collecting GST from Australian-based sellers unless these sellers have provided Amazon with an ABN as confirmation that they are GST registered in Australia. In this situation, would it be a good idea to register your Amazon name as an Australian business name plus an ABN and then optionally register for GST, since in Australia you are not supposed to pay GST unless your turnover is $75,000 and more? Yeah, that's exactly what I'd recommend, Hattie. If you're selling in Australia and you haven't got an ABN, firstly, I'd apply for an ABN, it's totally free. And then if you've got a seller store name set up, I would just register that one as a business name. And then you've got both your ABN and you've registered your business name in Australia. You have the choice of whether or not you want to register for GST, but my understanding is it's probably better to register for GST for this situation with Amazon, and then submit your ABN to Amazon, save that in your profile settings there, and then my understanding is that Amazon will not take out GST from your sales on Amazon. However, you might have to kind of organize paying GST separately. That's not something I know heaps about yet, but we'll update you guys as we learn more about how to kind of deal with this situation in Australia. So that's all the questions for today, guys. I hope you got some value from this episode. Let me know in the comments, or just simply give me a big thumbs up. Speaking about selling in Australia, we've actually just launched the $1 Million Case Study Part 2. We're expanding into another marketplace in Europe. So you can check that one out at this link here. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I look forward to answering your questions next time. See you guys.